Hello everyone, this is ICBs here, and today we are going to be talking about Disney's live action Snow White, and we finally have some news about something that we didn't before. And for a long time I always wondered what the princess character was going to be like in this movie, because from the recent you can't really call them recent, they are much older now, probably a year older interviews of Rachel Zegler, where she was saying that the prince could be removed from this movie and it wouldn't really make a difference in the story. And she didn't really say anything about making a difference in the story, but I think it's kind of implied that the prince is not really having that much of an impact in the story, that he could be removed, but and it wouldn't even affect the story. And for a long time that really was my impression, until recently, I was reading this article and I got some more information about the prince in this movie, and we finally have some newer information from the actor himself who played the role of prince, and he shares some of his insight into what the actual character is like and what it's going to be like on the big screen. So let's start reading. So this is the interesting paragraph that I really want you guys to focus on, and because this is what tells us something, because about Jonathan. And I think Jonathan is a replacement character for the prince, and I'm not really sure if Jonathan is a prince in this story or if he's a prince but he's joined some kind of a resistance and he is kind of retired from the system, so called. It's a bit confusing, but let me read this thing first so you guys would understand it better. Jonathan finds himself quite disillusioned with the power structures of the world he lives in and is part of a certain resistance to those power structures. When we meet him, he's just looking for a reason to find a sense of fight in himself again, that sense of hope that seems to be missing from the world. There are certain times in life where your sense of hope and resistance is knocked down by a few pegs, and you're just looking for something that will reignite the fire in you. And that's certainly the place where Jonathan finds himself in. And there should be some more information about the character. Okay, so I can't really find that part in this article again, but I read it and it said something along the lines of this character kind of being cynical and Snow White being a hopeful character that is going to, like be a total opposite to the male lead's character. And it's definitely going to be interesting. I finally have something, about the male lead character, and to be honest, the male lead character in the original Snow White wasn't really much to go on off of, and I think the original story itself is kind of really hard to adapt because I don't think it can translate really well to the big screen. You do definitely have to change so many things to make it watchable, because that movie is definitely a product of its time. It's really good for what it is, but if you're making a live action adaptation of it, I can't really see it anything more than Broadway, a show that you can make, like something like a musical. I can definitely see it as that, but if you're making like a movie, I'm not sure what you're going to do with that. And considering the recent interviews with Rachel Zegler, and now I'm reading this thing about Jonathan's character, I'm not sure what the point of this movie is anymore. Because when I think about the original movie you could say was about romance and fairy tale, and it was about vanity and greed and jealousy of the queen. Those are the codes of the original movie, and in this movie you have Rachel Zegler saying that Snow White is a girl boss, that she's going to own everyone, and then you have to Jonathan's character, who is a disillusioned, cynical character who is also part of some kind of a resistance. And whenever there's a resistance, there's also people who hate the system. So I'm not sure where this is going. Like, is this about throwing down the system and bringing in some newer system or something? Because if it's about that, then I'm not sure if it's following in the footsteps of the original. Now, I've already mentioned that if you are adapting the original, you do definitely have to change a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that you can change the message or the core of the original movie. The core of the original movie I've already described is romance, fantasy, greed, jealousy, all of that. But I think now this kind of falls goes in line with throwing down the systems, kind of more over Robin Hood kind of a story. So I'm not sure what their point is with this thing. Like, you can definitely change things, but I don't think you can change the message of the original movie. Keep it along those lines. But yeah, these interviews by older interviews by Rachel Zegler and now by this Jonathan's character, I'm not sure if I have much confidence in this movie. But then again, these are also some really small tidbits by the actors who are just saying, trying to say something about this movie. So I'm not really sure what the original movie is going to be like. So all I can do is make assumptions here. I'm not sure what the original movie is going to be like. So we will wait and see what that's going to be like. But then again, if there's one thing you can take away from this movie is that this remake really needs to own the message of the original movie. It is definitely allowed to change things, but I don't think it should deviate from the message and the core of the original movie. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about this whole situation, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.